Thank you for being here. It's like always, it is a beautiful day in paradise. How does it get any better than this? So, thank you everyone for being here today. We are BoulderExo, BoulderExo. That EXO stands for exoculture, exoconsciousness, and exopolitics. That's our brand. That's who we are. My name is Ross Locklear, and on the team is Bernice Hill over there. Paula Harris is part of our team. I think so. She's currently in Italy doing investigative work and research. So she's going to be coming with some very interesting material. Looking forward to it. Also on our team is Candice Powers, right in the back. Thank you, Candice. Julia Steiner, I don't know, she's somewhere in the front. Julia, wherever you are. And there she is. Thank you, Julia. And Marianne Sperry, she's our wonderful webmaster. So it's anyone that needs to have any technical. Marianne, you are not a child forever. Thank you, Marianne. So this is who we are. So like always, after our presentation, we will be gathering BJ's restaurant, which is 28th and Canyon. So anybody and everybody is welcome to have always something to eat and just reconnect and connect. Our next BoulderExo event, it's going to be next month. We're still trying to iron out some timelines and some dates, and so we are working on that. So that's work in progress. We have our website, BoulderExo.com. Also, we have a meetup site. You can just go on meetup.com and search for BoulderExo. You're going to come up with our page. It's a free of charge. Just sign up so you can know of our events. And also, we are on Facebook. We are under BoulderExo community. So please friend us. And what else? Oh, we have a sign-up sheet up front. So please sign up for an email list. So it's always awesome. Appreciate it. Bathrooms, it's like on the end of the hallway. You gotta go like to turn the left and the right and go way out there. That's how it is here. And what else? I have nothing else to introduce. Bernice is going to introduce our speakers, which is a very interesting presentation and also physical thing, hands-on. So it will be a quite interesting presentation that we're looking forward to. So Bernice, I'm going to give it.
It was about 8 years ago, it was October of 2010, that BoulderExo had its first meeting, and our speaker at that time was Captain Robert Salas. Captain Salas was the military man in charge of the 60 missile sites in Montana in 1967. When a UFO appeared over the site, and he said, much to his surprise, he heard a message in his ear, a telepathic message that said, "We are going to shut you down." It's a big shock to him. Well, in the years since then, BoulderExo has had about 60 speakers. We've had researchers, we've had contactees, we've had whistleblowers. But we've come to realize that at this point in time, that the biggest issue is our own consciousness. We live in a conscious universe. There are species out there that have a much higher consciousness than we do. Some as much as 1,000 years, maybe 1,000,000 years ahead of us. And it's time that we ask the question, what sort of quality of consciousness will we be bringing into the cosmos? And can we align with those frequencies to meet those entities and those higher spiritual brothers that we want to meet? Who we meet and how we meet them is going to depend a lot on our level of consciousness. So our speakers this evening are Linda Myers and Simon Bialobroda, and they have been students for many years of the ancient wisdom traditions. Not only the text of those traditions, but many, many hours of sincere meditation. And it's because of that meditation that they have faith to follow the guidance of that deep inner voice who's taken them all over the world. And they're here tonight with a message that I think will bring all of us a great deal of hope in the future. Simon and Lydia.
And thank you, BoulderExo, for asking us to come speak tonight. Tonight, our talk is going to be about building a bridge to consciously join our cosmic family. First, I'd like to tell you that Simon and my particular worldview stems from the Ageless Wisdom teachings of the Trans-Himalayan masters and adepts. The term Ageless Wisdom may be new to some of you, but it runs like a golden thread through almost all cultures and religions. The ancient wisdom was once given to humanity by cosmic, divine, extraplanetary beings, and did not have its origin on this planet. I will speak more about the Ageless Wisdom, but first I'd like to give you a little of my background. Everyone here has a story of how their spiritual life was changed by some person, event, or experience. My journey began in 1987. I was having a rebirthing session. Rebirthing is a technique which uses the breath to release trauma. The intense breathing brings more prana into the body. And in my case, it facilitated an out-of-body experience. As I left my body, I seemed to fly upward. And parts of my personality just seemed to be dissolving as if unreal. Many years later, after much study, I learned that I touched an aspect of my higher self, which electrified me, literally. The experience radically changed me, mentally, physically, and emotionally. I was awakened to a vast realm within that I had no idea existed. Afterwards, the electric energy persisted running through my nervous system. It was unsettling, but somehow I had an intuition, an inner knowing, not to run to the doctor to see what was wrong. I trusted the vibration as my new normal. It took several years for me to adjust, and even more to understand what had happened spiritually to me. I was living in Los Angeles, and I went to the Bodhi Tree bookstore to see if I could find a book that would help me understand what was going on in my body. And I found a series of books called Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. I became a voracious reader, which led me to more information on the Masters, and in time to study with the Arcane School, which teaches a curriculum of the Ageless Wisdom from the Tibetan master Dwal Kul. He was in telepathic communication with Alice Bailey. She served as his scribe and channel. She wrote 24 volumes of the Ageless Wisdom teachings, and 19 of them with the Tibetan master. They began their collaboration in 1919. Well, after my rebirthing experience, I moved with my daughter from Los Angeles to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And through a serendipitous series of introductions, I found myself sitting with a very clear channel, a professor at the time, and architect Simon Bialobroda. We began communicating with 5th through 9th dimensional beings about a sacred structure that was to be built in the new age. Questions were typed into the computer, followed by the answers. The temple was given the name Templar. It's spectacular, with 7 levels and 30 chambers. The drawing you see was made by Simon. What you see is the east entrance. Each of the 4 sides of the structure have a column of stairs. However, there is only one entrance at the top platform for the public. The entrance you see here, the smaller entrance, is on all 4 sides, and it will be for those who will study spiritually within. The Master Kutumi headed the project and called it a temple and a center. Thus he said the name Templar. We discovered when planets arrive at a certain level of consciousness, temples, like the Templar, are built and designed to communicate with other civilizations throughout the cosmos. The cosmological structure has several functions: spiritual instruction, initiation into greater consciousness, and to serve as an interstellar communication center. We worked for 3 years following the design given from the master teachers and great beings from out of our solar system. It was a remarkable project, one that we were told had to be designed to 1/10,000th of an inch. We learned the power of and importance of number and geometry during this time. I wrote a book, Guided from Beyond, that tells of our experience. I'm not going to speak more about the Templar tonight. I just wanted to share a little of my background with you. The Templar was a very important part of my life. It was a time when the reality of the spiritual realms and the masters became real for me. Tonight, I'd like to talk about the rapidly changing changes we see around us and how they're contributing to a shift in consciousness. The changes are revealing humanity's spiritual interdependence and relationship with our cosmic family, and all is in preparation for the entering of the new age. Evidence of change is occurring across the spectrum, from new sciences like space weather, discovery of plasma changes in the universe, and extraterrestrial messages, crop circles, and spiritual teachers. Well, let's begin where we find ourselves. A place where we can all agree is our experience, our reality, the physical Earth. Earth is composed of different states of consciousness. For our purposes tonight, we'll call them kingdoms. There are 5 kingdoms that make up the physical Earth. The 4 we commonly know are the mineral, vegetable, animal, and human, and these make up our 3rd dimension. There is a 5th kingdom, a higher realm or 5th dimension, still part of Earth and recognized as the spiritual kingdom. There's a saying that goes, God sleeps in the rock, 1st kingdom, dreams in the plants, 2nd kingdom, stirs in the animals, 3rd kingdom, and awakens in the 4th kingdom, and shines in the realm of souls, 5th kingdom. The 5 kingdoms make up our living earth. The 4 kingdoms evolve into the next higher, starting with a mineral. Life evolves from the mineral kingdom into the vegetable through the mineral absorption of the soil. Animals eat vegetables, humans eat vegetables and animals, and humans have all the lower kingdoms or states of consciousness within them. The mineral, vegetable, and our physical nature is animal. Human beings are the culmination, the end of this physical biological process. However, human beings are multidimensional and not just 3rd dimension. This slide shows the lines of force that operate on a human. There are energy or subtle bodies surrounding the physical body. They're not labeled, but we have an astral or an emotional body, a mental body, along with a body the soul uses called causal. We have a path to the spiritual kingdom within us, a bridge that connects our physical body with spirit. It's our soul, which is consciousness. Consciousness is not in the physical brain. My experience showed me consciousness continues out of the body. There have been many good books written about near-death experiences, amazing stories. And some people might characterize my rebirthing experience as an out-of-body death experience. I felt complete love. I left the body and there was no fear. Since the soul is a finer substance consisting of consciousness, it can expand to include more of a greater reality, even different dimensions. The soul is the link, the bridge between spirit and matter, and as such, the soul does not die. Its qualities are unity, love, consciousness, joy, and it holds all the wisdom and love acquired through all our many incarnations. Love is the energy of expansion, the vital current of creation. Ageless wisdom tells us that this solar system is developing love and wisdom. The planets have their own special hierarchy of elders and governments. Each have, through evolution, different qualities of consciousness. Some humans have fully awakened to the spiritual dimension within while living on Earth. Their experiences have, in many cases, become spiritual teachings. There are many, but three to mention are Paramahansa Yogananda, with Self-Realization Fellowship, Ramana Maharshi, the great non-duality teacher, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso. Those who have completed the biological process on Earth and have gone to become part of the spiritual fifth kingdom, into a higher dimension, but still part of Earth, may be known to you as the Buddha, Jesus, Master Morya, Master Kutumi or Kuthumi, and Master Saint Germain. The reality of the spiritual realm is much greater than any presentation I can give tonight. We don't know many of their names. These are just a few you may recognize. The Masters work through groups and individuals for carrying out the plan for evolution. Some people know of their involvement and some do not. They work to impress the mind of the person or group with ideas, direction, and inspiration. In some cases, they have a trained channel they work through. There's no area of human life where the hierarchy does not work. Governmental, scientific, educational, economic. Their disciples are found in all areas of human endeavor. One of the pioneers in metaphysical thought was Helena Blavatsky. She was one of the first to bring Eastern spiritual thought, ageless wisdom, to the West. This picture is amazing. Look at her face. The three master teachers she worked with materialized themselves for this rare photograph taken in 1880. The one closest to me is Master Kuthumi. The middle is Master Morya. And then on the far right is Saint Germain. The Masters have been through the human experience and have graduated from this dense physical dimension, and that's how they have received the designation Master over the third dimension. Some of them, instead of going on in their evolution to other parts of the cosmos, have, through their great love, continued to oversee and guide humanity's progress. Well, what is humanity's progress? Is consciousness changing for the better? watching the news does not indicate a more enlightened society, but we do have indications that it's beginning to change. The Maya calendar gave us ancient records that said an age was ending. We didn't experience the end of the world in 2012, but a transition into a new cycle of time, or no time, as it eventually will be known. The spiritual masters, our elder brothers, tell us that the earth is transiting through a beam, a spotlight, that began with the alignment of the galactic center of the Milky Way in 2012. As we pass through this beam, which lasts 150 Earth years, the planet will be transformed into a higher, finer reality. Unknown to most of us, there are new etheric energies flowing from the universe to Earth at this time. The stars are etherically interconnected, exchanging particles and gases, which in turn impact the Earth. The galaxy's magnetic field is filled with streams of energy traveling along the galactic arm. See, the stars are polarized to other stars, either negative or positive, some receiving energy and some sending it out, all traveling along the magnetic field lines. We're coming to realize everything is interconnected. Our planet does not spin as an island in space. There are great conscious beings overseeing the ones below on down to the third dimension of Earth. Our sun, the giver of our planet, gets direction from a higher center, a spiritual sun known as Sirius. If our sun's warp keeps the physical world alive, Sirius is considered to keep the spiritual world alive. It is the real light shining in the east, the spiritual light. This is an actual photograph of Sirius from NASA. Throughout the wisdom teachings are references to the importance of Sirius. In fact, Sirius's sacred connection to the human race has been known to the spiritual privileged throughout time. From the very foundation of Earth's history, Sirius has been prominent in directing its evolution. Esoteric writings state that we share DNA with off-planet civilizations. It seems the Sirians were one of the first civilizations to visit our solar system eons ago. Sirius is called the dog star because of its placement in the heavens in Canis Major. It's 25 times more luminous than our sun and twice its size. It is a great creative center which is aligned with powerful principles of creation such as sacred geometry of Lord Metatron. He's the creator of the super electron. Isis, the mother, guidance aspect, and one of the Trinity with Osiris and Horus. Egypt, keeper of the mystery teachings, home of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And Thoth, teacher of humanity, knowledge, wisdom, and Atlantis. The Sirius star system is triple. In 1994, 2 astronomers reported the discovery of a third body in the system. Well, this fact was known by the Dogon tribe in Africa thousands of years ago. In their oral history, they state that the Syrians visited and taught them. They consider Sirius the god-goddess. Still unknown to science is that Sirius C is the central star in the system, not Sirius A or Sirius B. Amazingly, even for its great distance, Earth receives electrical energy from the creative center. Astronomers report it's the most energized, positive point in our little corner of space. Excuse me just a minute. There have been many reports of off-planet beings. The late Dr. John Mack, a Harvard University psychologist and Pulitzer Prize winner, studied over 200 men and women that reported recurrent alien encounter experiences. Well, he classifies the life in the cosmos in 3 categories. There are beings like us that have form, that are embodied. Second, beings that have form where they're not embodied. They're more etheric. They have a body, but it's not a physicality. And third, beings that have no form. Last month, BoulderExo heard from Marcella about her experiences with the Andromeda beings without form. They are light, spheres of different shapes. She said very loving and highly evolved. Dr. Mack interviewed the Dalai Lama for the documentary The Dalai Lama Renaissance. In the film, they speak about extraterrestrials, the reason for their presence here, and their deep concern that we're destroying the planet. The Dalai Lama commented that we should basically look upon them as we look upon ourselves, another equal form of life. That's been the view of Pope Francis as well. Corey Good thinks it will be the religions to officially announce the existence of extraterrestrial life. This will cause governments to release information they want to disclose. Well, we could go on, with quotes from credible sources acknowledging that the cosmos is teeming with consciousness and different civilizations. The BoulderExo group knows better than ever most people about the reality of our cosmic family. You've heard many reliable reports from our brothers over the years. The masters say many of these beings who are in the etheric observing will never incarnate in human form. They're not associated with biological process. Yet they have been called in to this world to act as, quote, forces of stabilization, beacons of calm, to radiate peace and assurance during the decades of our awakening. Well, what can we expect from this awakening? Well, thank heaven, science and spirituality are coming closer together. We get a fuller picture. Researchers, both scientific and spiritual, have discovered something happens in the evolution of a human, which causes a shift, a leap in consciousness into recognizing and contacting higher realms. It's found through the soul. The scientist, Dr. Bruce Lipton, a quantum biologist and internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirit, has done a breakthrough study on the cell membrane, which reveals the outer layer of the cell is like a computer chip, the cell's equivalent of a brain. The cell brain is above genetic control, he says. This means that the little cells in our body have a consciousness. This has been said by the Ageless Wisdom, and now Lipton has discovered it as well. Dr. Lipton says, he gives us a very simple biological example of how evolution proceeds. He explains, the cell membrane increases in volume until it cannot expand anymore. It had to change. At this point, it evolves into a community of bacteria called an amoeba. An amoeba is 1,000 times more intelligent than a cell because it has more membrane, more skin. The cell and the membrane and the amoeba took billions of years to evolve. Even the amoeba grew so large it couldn't stretch anymore. Evolution stopped for a second time. Then what happened? The amoebas got together and put a skin around themselves. And we find humans are made up of 50 billion amoebas. A community, a society of amoebas. A human is the highest development of amoebas. It now has reached through physical evolution an endpoint. So what happens? They're coming together in consciousness to form a higher organization. Groups are forming. A group is not just a gathering of people. It's an evolving field of consciousness that gives birth to new ideas and ways of being. What is happening in this room right now? This gathering is the evolutionary process of the planet. This is the shift in evolution we're facing right now. It's the evolution of the individual, a cell, in a superorganism. And the superorganism is humanity. Lipton says we are consciously ready to create something new, a spiritual, etheric species. From the writings of our elder brothers in Entering the Age of Light, we read about the potential within the human. It is this spiritual shift that is and will be occurring to groups as we journey into the new age. Hidden inside the power to reason and think abstractly is the human potential to express divinity that is about to bring even more radical change. Though real understanding only comes through experience. The truth is always with us. Words can open us to our understanding, but ultimately we must realize that truth within. Most of humanity is looking in the wrong direction. The new world is emerging within. The spiritual journey produces a shift in identity from the outer form to the inner being. The soul can be found within each person, in the heart and in the head. The heart condition is relatively easy for us to discover, and the head takes more conscious spiritual development. Humans carry what could be called a sacred doorway deep inside a cave within the head. This is a cross-section of the brain in the Eye of Horus, and the Eye of Horus is the Egyptian symbol of the soul or consciousness. This is a beautiful painting given to Manly Palmer Hall of the opening of the etheric spirit, third eye. In the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo painted the hidden secret in plain sight for those with eyes to see. Does that look like a brain to you? Does it look like the mind of God? We're witnessing a collapsing of the ecology and institutional structures throughout the world. This is a garbage island in the Pacific Ocean. It's over twice the size of Texas. Many recognize we cannot continue as we have. It's not sustainable. The systems are falling apart, and a new system or reality is beginning. It's important to be centered in the heart in these days and remember evolution proceeds through destruction and creation. There are cycles of destruction and creation. The destruction of old forms paves the way for consciousness to emerge. An analogy can be found in the law of new life following destruction in the body of a caterpillar. All the cells are growing and growing. It reaches a plateau and it cannot grow anymore. It forms a chrysalis. Its cells begin destruction, but the stem cells start to organize, envision a new structure, the butterfly. Something like this is happening today. With the crossing into this creation being, we're entering a new region of space with altered climactic conditions, causing the human race to change. There's a rapid change occurring on Earth, and according to Richard Fisher, head of NASA's heliophysics division, Earth and space are about to come into contact in a way that's new to human history. I believe we're on the threshold of a new era in which space weather can be as influential in our daily lives as ordinary terrestrial weather. We take this very seriously indeed. Our solar system is moving into a new energy zone. Well, what does a statement like that mean? Again, from the writings of the Entering the Age of Light, we learn about a new era, and in fact, that the old order is ending. Quote, "The planet is moving into a dimension beyond time and beyond death. World events have merged with a growing expectancy among a portion of humanity that a higher order of existence does in fact exist. The merging of principles of consciousness with principles of modern physics yields the picture of a world governed by vibrations, resonances, frequencies, and oscillations. Our solar system is moving into a new energy zone." Dr. Alexei Dmitriev, professor of geology and expert on global ecology and fast processing Earth events, his work shows that the planets in the solar system are undergoing changes in their atmospheres. He reports, quote, "The solar system itself is moving into an area where the energy is more highly charged. That higher charged energy is in turn exciting the plasma and causing more of it to form. So you see more luminosity, more brightness. This energy is then flowing into the sun, which in turn emits the energy. This is saturating interplanetary space, which causes the solar emissions to travel more quickly and charge up the energy on the planets." Dr. Dmitriev believes this is a highly charged conscious energy, and it's affecting not only other planets, but our own. How our Earth looks, how it functions, and what kind of life it supports. According to Dr. Dmitriev, quote, "The harmonics of the DNA spiral itself are altering by the light emitted, which stems from consciousness." He believes this is the actual cause of spontaneous mass evolution. Well, these are bold statements, but they're followed by his supportive data. Nikola Tesla said, "The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence." Wow. All the previous centuries of its existence. Our off-planet family have been waiting for this moment. When humans welcome the consciousness of their eternal counterparts back to cooperate with their own forgotten purposes, the historical intermission will at last be over, and the creative unfoldment of their world will resume. We're moving into an era where universal energies will support our collective awakening. From the Ageless Wisdom teachings, we learn of a time before recorded history. At the dawning of time, extraplanetary beings endowed the higher animals with a spark of mind, which brought a self-conscious awareness to the sentient life on Earth. This was the birth of the human species millions of years ago. The spark of mind is light, consciousness, soul. Light is a form of energy, and all living things have a body of light. We're being told that the life wave of Earth is about to enter an etheric field of light. But we're cautioned that all of this talk of a new world, we must remember that the etheric realm is not a paradise. It is a subtler plane where fewer hindrances to the flow of higher energies exist. A subtler substance will quicken the expansion of consciousness, but the determining factor is free will. Entering the age of light speaks to the Aquarian age, an age where we are awakening to universal consciousness and connections, where lines of force and energy that connect everything will become more evident as Earth unfolds on a higher ground. The masters say in the etheric realm, there are few descriptive terms outside the language of light and vibration. It will be revealed, a shimmering world of light, a resplendent spectacle of hues and textures, the streaming of rays from other planets and constellations into the sphere of Earth, a city of light, a higher world, where the light inherent in life will be made visible. The realities of etheric plane living are reflected in these following ideas. All is light. Light is energy. Light and energy are directed by thought. We have to shift out of our perceived time and space to conceive of higher dimensions. But Sirius meditators are pioneers of the dimensional shift. They learn how to use the mind to build a bridge in consciousness between material and spiritual worlds through thought. The combination of gravitational fields and social conditionings has resulted in most of us being caught in the limitation of space and time. When we identify with higher dimensions of consciousness, we're freer and operate in a more fluid reality. When you identify solely with your biological reality, you are, for all intents and purposes, trapped in space and time. This is a Hathor planetary message through Tom Kenyon. Tom Kenyon began working telepathically with the Hathors in the 1980s. They represent themselves as, quote, a group of interdimensional, intergalactic beings who were connected to ancient Egypt through the temples of the goddess Hathor, as well as other prehistory cultures. The Hathors say gravity does play a large part with our perception of time. Outside the boundaries of space and time, in the fifth dimension, there's no effects like gravitational fields as we have on Earth. There's form in the fifth dimension, but not physicality, as in the third state of duality. Love is automatically experienced as a field extending everywhere. From the book The Keys of Enoch by J.J. Kurtak, we read that the coming new time will be an experience of wholeness. It is pivotal for man to comprehend God beyond the anthropomorphic image of a third-dimensional God form, and actually beyond all form. We are entering a time of a new dispensation when we can release through self-effort the limiting consciousness of duality in physical form. When humanity opens to the soul and connects to the Master's call of love, unity, and synthesis, the world will enter a new era. The worldwide brotherhood of man will appear. There will be a beauty of unification unimaginable. Well, we have some idea of the fifth dimension, but what is the fourth dimension? The internet uses fourth etheric space. We're getting used to the etheric realm by practicing virtual travel every day. When we go to the internet, we choose a place to visit, information to gather, or to connect with a person in another part of the world. From our experience with the computer, we can envision the etheric realm as a place where we can instantly, simply by thinking the idea of that location or event, be there, through the intention and our resonance. The fourth dimension is unity. It is the interconnection of everything. This state of consciousness realizes there's no separation. We're all connected. We use fourth dimensional inventions, which use radiation. All electrical appliances, telephone, electric light, radio, TV, rays such as X-rays and ultraviolet. So radiation expresses movement, that it penetrates rather than moves in a surface covering motion belonging to the first three dimensions. The late Stephen Hawking reported the same findings as Nikola Tesla. Tesla's time travel experiment said, I could see the past, present, and future all at the same time. In the higher dimensions, the past, present, and future are all happening at the same moment now. This is what Eckhart Tolle talks about, too. It's a hard concept to completely grasp, but one we may live to experience. It's said that love builds the fourth dimension, while intelligence builds the fifth, because we create with our mind in the fifth. Now this is important. We do not lose our identity in the more collective environment. We each have had a unique lineage of evolution which colors us, not special, but unique. How have multidimensional beings off-planet contributed to our understanding? When Susie Henson spoke at BoulderExo meeting last June about her intimate connection and work with the extraterrestrials, she said that the group she was affiliated with had been called in by the spiritual masters of the planet to work with certain humans to increase our intelligence and consciousness. She said that the technology boom of the last decades was designed to familiarize humans with the etheric plane. Well, this has happened without much awareness. It's become our daily experience. We're constantly faced with discernment and choices in our lives. We have a strange warning from the Keys of Enoch that speak of a test for humanity. Quote, yet at the end of a grand cycle of time, the Father permits those fallen orders of intelligence to suddenly appear upon the planisphere like Earth, to tempt man like Satan tempted Jesus. This is the last temptation that mankind is collectively being put through, to see whether we will serve the lesser space gods or share love with the angelic hierarchies to the glory of the Father. Well, this test may or may not occur for a long time, or we may be facing it now. It is important for each of us to discern what message is being delivered. This applies to all we hear, and not just extraterrestrial. What level of consciousness is being expressed? The Master Kuthumi said when we were working on the Templar, it's a law of the universe that any being will always have to answer or leave when this question is pertinent. Are you of the Christ consciousness of love and unity? He said, question all to their light, even us. This question does not offend. He said it shows growth of discernment. This is something we have to remember, to question all to their light. What is their intention? Well, there are many extraplanetary lives who hold high consciousness and who work entirely for the whole of God's creation. And those are the ones we want to align with. They're eager for us to transcend this third dimension. Well, what does it all mean? It means a beautiful tapestry of light, consciousness is found throughout all creation. It means we're not alone. Our spiritual family isn't just in the third dimension. Our spiritual family exists on many dimensions and includes many different faces, spiritual intelligences, and consciousness, which bring the Father's message of everlasting life to the many universes. The Masters ask, has it ever occurred to you that the reason human beings have not discovered life on other planets is that they cannot perceive subtler worlds? And that more advanced species may exist in other star systems in forms undetectable by the physical eye. We're becoming aware of this energy that unfolds us beyond the Earth environment. Earth is part of a community of planets in one interrelated system, a minor planet in terms of the light it currently generates. We're given an idea of its importance with this statement, quote, within the greater galaxy, Earth is akin to the single cell in a human body. But in the solar system, Earth plays a larger part. We're part of the body of the solar system. And as such, we have a role to play. Everything is connected like a grand spider web. Wherever it is touched, it reverberates. Well, love is the vehicle of expansion. We cannot begin to enter a higher dimension without love. As we grow and expand in consciousness, through the force of love and unity and brotherhood, that is experienced. A dear friend so clearly stated recently to me, she said, whatever we want to see happening in the world must start within ourselves. The process has to be born out of our own substance. She's right. The love that will transform is contacted within the heart, where the logical mind can't grasp, but the heart and the soul can. We are entering the dawn of a new age, the Aquarian age of brotherhood. Groups are coming together to share the work of new creation in collaboration with our spiritual brothers, the fifth kingdom. We're being told that the Christ, the heart of hierarchy, of pure love and will, is preparing to enter a closer relationship with humanity. And we are being encouraged to prepare in consciousness for this event. A new cycle, a new earth, the age of light.
It's a great pleasure to be here. If any of you are having any trouble hearing me, please raise your hand at any time. And when the kingdom of souls, fifth kingdom, or spiritual hierarchy is mentioned, I'm referring to the masters of love and wisdom. They guide humanity's evolution and implement the evolutionary plan for humanity, taking their directives from even higher beings. Excuse me. 3,500 years ago, in the golden age of Egypt, the inner life was served through divine illumination. Today we live in an age where outer form is served through materialism. But in spite of appearances, as the BoulderExo group states, more people are discovering that to be human means following the urge to go beyond our limitations and be open to connect with our true essence. This is happening because we are now living through the shift of the ages, where darkened spaces are being filled with new light from the sun of Aquarius. For me, it's meant spiritual guidance and the existence of higher worlds as a part of my life since the age of 23. My talk is going to be in 3 parts. Part 1 is about certain events which introduced me to higher guidance and the subtler dimensions of life. I'll share a few projects planned by the spiritual hierarchy for the future in collaboration with humanity and the Galactic Federation. Part 2 is going to explore the livingness of the Fifth Kingdom as integral to bridge building for my knowledge and experience of them. In Part 3, we're going to look at a specific crop circle with new information about its formation, symbolism, and message for humanity. Part 1. At 23, I was living in New York when I met my first spiritual teacher, a master psychic. Having more than one ability or gift, she was clairvoyant and clairaudient. She was also in communication with members of the spiritual hierarchy, knew their vibrations, and called them by name. Each new student received a piece of guidance on a piece of paper. Mine was, humility is knowing who you are and being able to take a back seat. I didn't have a clue what that meant. After a class one night, I got into my car to drive home at about 10 p.m. Next thing I know, I'm at an intersection I recognize it's near my house, but I don't know how I got there. Oddly, I felt alert and refreshed. I realized 3 hours of time had disappeared. I told my teacher, and she just chuckled. Talk about taking a back seat. A few months later, I have a lucid dream. I am in Central Park in Manhattan. I see in the night sky concentric circular rings of colored lights moving towards me. They change into a vehicle with rounded corners and a slanted front. After it landed, out stepped 2 ape-like looking beings. In my head, I heard the question, would you like to see our planet? Yes, I thought. So I was instructed to stand against a central column and not move from it. We started to leave. The walls and floors became transparent, like glass. I could see clearly everything outside. There were so many stars and some very large planets with moons. I wanted to get a closer look at the console and step towards it, disengaging myself from the column. I heard a pop and I was back in my bed. I felt such dismay at my ego not being able to follow a simple instruction like taking a back seat. Weeks later, I go into Weiser's. It's the oldest and largest occult bookstore in the world. It's in New York City. And I see on the shelf the cover of this new UFO book with a drawing on it of exactly the same ape-like beings from my dream. Of course, I had to read it. Their technology is advanced, and they live in harmony with nature. Children are raised communally. Their buildings are round and tall, connected by monorail systems. The people are very cultured and kind. There is an abundance of green space in and around their cities and villages. As part of the Galactic Federation, they help in collecting ecological data about other planets. I felt a great relief that my experience was corroborated. I mentioned this to my teacher. She offered a kind and understanding smile. It also humbled my perception about what intelligent life forms look like. A year later, my teacher's teacher, a holy man from India, was visiting the United States at the invitation of the UN. He was sharing his vision that science and religion can promote global harmony through an understanding of the one truth. This is Swami Vithathiri. As he looked when I met him, small in stature, a gentle man with a kind face and wise eyes. He invited any of my teacher's students to be instructed in the Navagraha meditation on the 9 planets. I accepted and went to the home of one of his disciples. Closing my eyes, Maharishi placed 2 fingers on my 3rd eye, transferring his life force. I experienced a calm, an inner flash of light that was followed by a vision of the solar system. It was a livingness and a vibrancy about the experience, and the impact on my mind and consciousness was unforgettable. From a close friend who spoke here at BoulderExo a few months ago, Frank Chili, I'd heard of a structure in California called the Integratron, being built by George Van Tassel. After reading more about it, I planned to go there to help. When I arrived there in 1979, I found out sadly from his wife Doris that George had died several months earlier from a heart attack before finishing the Integratron. Doris graciously allowed me to stay a few days. Little did I know how brief my stay would be. The Integratron was intended to extend the lifespan of a human being and act as a portal through time, allowing access to the past and future. It was built by Van Tassel with donations, but it was the extraterrestrial from Venus, Commander Solganda, who provided him with the information and formula to build the Integratron. Here's a picture of the Integratron with cloud formations. And George. And above George, you see the formula, F equals 1 over T, used in its construction. The Integratron is domed, made entirely of wood, stands 38 feet tall, is 55 feet in diameter, and 16-sided. The structure sits on 33 degrees north latitude, the same as the Great Pyramid of Giza, and over a powerful energy vortex. The formula Van Tassel was given by Solganda is also used in acoustics, optics, physics, engineering, and engineering disciplines. F stands for frequency, or occurrences per unit of time of any event. For example, the number of heartbeats in a minute. T stands for the period of time that elapses between each occurrence. For example, if a baby's heart beats at 120 beats per minute, the formula allows you to calculate the interval between each heartbeat of a baby for a half second. I know that doesn't interest many of you, but Van Tassel used this formula to create the integratron. 1 is the mathematical constant that keeps frequency and time in proportional unity. My understanding is, when I was there, that only Van Tassel knew, and one other person who lives near the integratron, who's still alive, how to apply this formula to complete this structure. On the left is the famous Polaroid that captured a ship's etheric field over Giant Rock, where George held UFO conventions. To the right is the local reserve sheriff that took the Polaroid. No ship was seen or heard by anyone. It wasn't until the Polaroid developed at exactly 12:12 p.m., is my understanding, that the luminous form appeared on the print to everyone's amazement. These are not high-quality details of the sheriff's print, but will have to suffice. One afternoon while I was staying there, a man comes knocking at Doris's door and introduces himself. He has a copy of the photo with him and tells us he is the man next to the woman. Walking towards the sheriff, holding the camera. He asked Doris and I if we saw anything unusual in the photograph other than the luminous form of the ship. Then he pointed to the dog lifting in midair, which I have indicated by a red arrow. We were as surprised and flabbergasted as that woman in the photo. So here's the dog. One night, almost asleep, an intense beam of light streams through the window from behind the sofa. I find myself paralyzed. I can't move. Someone opens the front door. From the position of my head, I could only see the person's feet, wearing shiny metallic boots that were part of the pants. He walked into Doris's room. After about 10 minutes, the person walks out. The beam of light stops, and so does my paralysis. I hear it, ooh, light sound getting higher and higher in pitch. I ran out as fast as I could, looked up and saw this bright object moving away, then at tremendous speed, it disappeared. The next morning, Doris told me the visitor from last night was from one of the ships, with a message for her and me. She had been told to tell me the integratron was not my path. I was shocked. And that my father was going to be hospitalized. Sadly, I left the integratron to fly to New York after calling my mom and indeed discovering that my father was scheduled for surgery. His operation was successful, and my parents were happy to see me, and I them. It was a good lesson in humility and love. It's 1985, and I'm now living in San Diego. My brother, who is also living there, has a terrible car accident and leaves him in a coma. Wanting to help him, I heard the name of a healer called Sister Sarita. from Mexico. She was living in Chula Vista. The picture to the left is Sarita in 2001, teaching and her grandson translating. The one on the right is a picture of her shortly before she passed at 98. She was a sweet woman, powerful healer, and influential in my life. When she first saw me, she said, "Dios mío, tu cara, los hermanos." Translation, "My God, it's your face, the brothers." She explained the dream in which a space brother asked her if she would build a healing pyramid with 3 levels. In the dream, they showed her my face as the architect they would send to help her. Level 1 was for the public. Level 2 was for teaching. And level 3 was for healing. She told me a blood clot was preventing my brother's recovery. She said at the appointed time to place my hands under my brother's head. I asked my sister to join me and asked her to hold his feet. At exactly 10 p.m., our hands started to tingle and get very hot, but not uncomfortable. The good news is, next morning, my brother came out of his coma. I will never forget the expression on my sister's face. However, Sarita's healing pyramid was not to happen. One day at her house, her son Miguel, who would later write the 4 Agreements, who you know as Miguel Ruiz, he told me he had other plans for the land. Sarita's eyes teared up, but there was nothing I or she could do. Sadly, I said goodbye. I chalked it up as another lesson in humility and detachment. In 1992, I moved to New Mexico. Shortly thereafter, I'm invited to Linda's home in Santa Fe to watch a video called The Templar in the Fifth Dimension, a new temple that Linda shared earlier. Here is a drawing produced from the messages of the Templars' magnificent entrance that the public walks through to enter the nearly 400-foot-high pyramid. Flanking the entrance are 2 polished pink granite obelisks, which will have sacred symbols carved into them of Lemurian character. Their height reaches to the tips of the 21-foot wingspan of the eagle you see on the pediment, symbolic of freedom, the star Sirius, and the Galactic Federation. Then one passes between 2 polished black marble columns with statues of the seraphim on the right and the cherubim on the left. Around the top of each of these black marble columns are 5 equally spaced horizontal bands of inlaid gold, like the musical staff, on which specific crop circles will be placed to the notes of Amazing Grace, totaling 22 crop circles in all. One then passes through the 2 great wooden doors that will swing inward into the Templar. They will have 2 beams of the golden light and wings of the Elohim carved into them. Above the door, inlaid into the pink granite, is a 12-pointed star of black marble outlined in gold with a gold dot in the center, representing the etheric kingdom on earth the Buddhists call Shambhala. that receives its directives from Sirius. In speaking about the Templar, the Master Kutumi, the Templar's architect, said, "These types of accomplishments, making visible the invisible beauty, the inner beauty of the invisible planes, will create an atmosphere around the world in which community, spirit, and sharing, love, become more self-realized." After the Templar project, Linda, myself, and a close friend, who we knew and respected as a clear channel for the masters of the spiritual hierarchy, form a group of 3. Between the years of 1995 and 2017, we complete a 108-day spiritual journey directed by the Master KH. We become students of the Arcane School, and under another master of KH's ashram, studied and worked on several projects. One of the projects to come out of our experimental group is this. This is a scale model. It's a prototype for a healing pyramid to be built possibly somewhere in South America for the new age. A second prototype is underway, as I have become aware of certain details that will enhance its effectiveness. It emits a zero-point energy field, and I have chosen the frequency of 432 to play through the pyramid as soon as I turn on the frequency here. Excuse me. I'm not sure if everybody can hear 432, but I'll turn it down. Oops. It's working, but it doesn't have to be heard for it to work. But the 432 frequency is playing to it. Oh, excuse me. The guidance said this project has a team related to it of 9 members of the Brotherhood of Light. 6 cosmic brothers from the Galactic Federation, representing the Pleiades, Venus, and a planet from the Andromeda Galaxy. 1 great being from Sirius, and 2 masters of this planetary hierarchy or brotherhood. The photo to the left shows the interior pyramidal volume. On the right, the frame indicates its outer volume. Between the two will be a structural system of wood. The inner base of the scale model is 9 inches, and in actuality, 63 feet. The outer wireframe base of the scale model is 15 inches. And in actuality will be 105 feet. 105 feet also is 2,160 inches. 2,160 is a number associated with astronomical time, sacred measurement, and the frequency of 432. The corners of the pyramid, as you can see, are oriented to the 4 directions, unlike Giza, which its sides would be oriented to the 4 directions. This is how this pyramid works. There is a branch of cosmic knowledge that the Brotherhood of Light know very well. It is called the science of light, with its sub-sciences of sound or vibration, cosmic geometry, electromagnetics, and zero-point energy. Zero-point energy is the energy that is present even at absolute zero, or a vacuum. The teachings gave this information on zero-point energy. It will be used in the medical profession. When the body is exposed to zero-point energy, the cells recognize and remember their most perfect state is from the divine source. This energy has the potential to be awakened within us through the expansion of consciousness. At the top is a cross-section showing the numbers 3, 6, and 9. These numbers are based on the Pythagorean system that reduces, in this case, the dimensions to find the governing vibration. For example, 63 feet, level 1, is 6 plus 3 equals 9. The second level is 42 feet, which reduces to 6. And the third level is 21 feet, which reduces to 3. 3, 6, and 9 are very important numbers. Nikola Tesla said, I suppose there's no slide for it. It's a quote. Nikola Tesla said, "If you knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you would have a key to the universe." Mathematician and free energy researcher Marco Roden says these three numbers are connected to the universal energy field. The pyramid sits on a base that contains a sound box. There. The sound box sits over a magnetic field generating chamber made up of paramagnetic material, crystals, and magnets. That sits on top of a pink granite slab. The frequency generated, I believe, when the pyramid is actually built, will turn the air in the sound box luminous. Under the cross-section is the plan of level 1, with its healing symbol for the floor design. The two dashed circles that intersect, the white square and the healing symbol, reveal what is called the circle squared. The circle represents spirit, and the squares matter. The squaring of the circle creates a resonance with higher harmonics of unity. Earlier I mentioned the frequency of 432 is playing through the pyramid. The teachings said 432 is one of the main building blocks of the cosmic language, and its use in dimensions higher than the third. It is the dominant frequency found within the universe. 432 resonates through the music of the spheres and the circles squared. Here is the healing symbol to be built like a stained glass, which I believe the luminous air from below will illuminate. It has 16 sections and Metatron's cube at the center. If you recall, the integratron is 16-sided. It has a DNA spiral of white, rose, blue, and yellow that has been circularized and encoded with angelic frequencies. There is a third DNA strand we do not see because it is etheric and beginning to form in humanity. The teachings said the colors in the healing symbol should primarily be of violet and gold, with a touch of the archangel's colors of indigo, blue, and rose. In the new science of healing, there will be 12 new harmonics or sounds and 12 new colors affecting the 12 chakra system. To the left is a drawing of a labyrinth symbol that is engraved in the ceiling. The teaching said the labyrinth symbol conveys the spiritual path. It also has a direct correlation to the Pleiades and Sirius. One of the subjects our group was given to study was Bialobroda. Upper right is an aerial view of Bialobroda, a pyramidal Buddhist stupa on Java built between 800 and 900 AD. The lower right drawing shows the circuitous path through its platforms and terraces, from which the labyrinth symbol is derived. Bialobroda's levels correlates with stages of meditation, as well as expanding perceptions of the higher worlds. This is an artist's rendition of Gunung Padang, a megalithic site recently discovered on West Java. The teaching said practically every main structure or temple around the world most often sits near a body of water. This drawing lets us imagine how the healing pyramid's natural setting may look, sitting near a lake with a stream branching out and surrounding it. This crop circle formation appeared on June 1st, 2014, just after the scaled prototype was finished. Its geometry reminded me of the healing pyramid. Both have a labyrinth. The outer circle could be a symbol for a zero-point energy, and the numbers 432 could be in the four sides, the three inner rings, and the two connected smaller circles. A few weeks after the prototype was finished, Linda's daughter had a really bad fall on a run coming down the mountain. She called and we said to drive over right away and sit with the healing pyramid, which she did. Within a few minutes, she felt better. Within a few hours, the pain considerably subsided, and the next morning she was almost free of pain, and her wrists feeling much better. Even her bruises had almost healed. I have found that crop circles are many things to different people. Blueprints for new sources of energy, templates for healing, or a language of cosmic symbols to expand consciousness. As to why they are being made and by whom will be answered in part 3. Part 2. If you have knowledge, let others light their candles in it. This statement by Margaret Fuller is so true. We all serve by sharing and living what we know. As Linda and I have shared, we have been privileged to work with the Fifth Kingdom. Also, as you are aware, Earth and humanity is shifting into a new dimension of life. What exactly is the dominant quality of this higher fifth dimension? To answer that question, we have to ask, what is the essential quality of the Fifth Kingdom, comprised of masters, their initiates, and the Christ, head of the spiritual hierarchy? I've tried to distill this quality into one essential state. The quality of the Fifth Kingdom is the livingness of love and wisdom, along with direct perception of the higher dimensions of life. The definition by the Tibetan Dwalpo of wisdom is that, quote, wisdom is knowledge gained by experience and implemented by love. Unquote. So we can now say that the essential qualities of the fifth dimension are the expression of love and wisdom, along with the emergent awareness of higher dimensions of life. Makes sense to me. Earth in the fifth dimension will be a time when humanity becomes a part of the kingdom of souls and joins with the brotherhood of light. Can we imagine what a glorious privilege that will be? One of the points, Lyndon, I think worth repeating is the predicted merging and fusing of the fourth and fifth kingdoms will not occur on the plane of dense form, but on a higher etheric plane above the physical, where the qualities of the soul are predominant. As Linda demonstrated in her talk, a lower and higher vibration can merge into unity when the lower reaches a certain resonance with the higher. In the case of humanity, where there is free will, resonance is achieved in stages. First with the soul, through purification. Then soul alignment and living the principles of the Ageless Wisdom teachings. And then with the higher kingdoms. Galactic energies and brotherhoods of light cannot do it all. A great deal depends on mutual effort by humanity. Pondering on this painting by Salvador Dali, called Sacrament of the Last Supper, it spoke to me of what I'm trying to communicate about the fourth and fifth kingdoms merging. Jesus has one hand on his heart, and the other is pointing upwards, as if he is saying, live what I taught, open the heart, and the divine presence will draw closer to you. This is a painting full of esoteric knowledge, symbolism, and truth. I also interpret it as showing the overlighting Christ, head of the spiritual hierarchy, serving as the bridge between the spiritual livingness of heaven and the matter of earth. There are three spiritual realities I've experienced to be true that have come from working with the kingdom of souls and the teachings of Dwal. The soul is a living reality. The kingdom of souls is a living reality. And the evolutionary plan is a living reality. Everything in our talk is grounded in these three basic building blocks. There's a website that posts weekly seed thoughts from Morya's ashram, the Master Morya, which was started by a group of students of the Ageless Wisdom. Questions are posted by the participants and receive a response from members of the Fifth Kingdom. It's part of an experiment that explores the livingness that can flow from an exchange with the planetary hierarchy. The seed thought is also used with a Thursday meditation. Here's a seed thought for March 7, 2016. The minds of men reach farther into outer space. We await you in the planetary heart, Earth's new frontier. The new scientists and educators are going to be those that penetrate into the inner frontier energy and consciousness, like Bruce Lipton and Marco Rodin. More people are sensing the evolutionary pulse and aligning with love and truth. I believe this is so because of all the millions doing good in the world, standing up for justice, the sacredness of our Mother Earth, the spirit of humanity, and the sharing of resources for all. Here's a recent seed thought from June 7th, just a few weeks ago. In the face of a master of wisdom, there are signs of a distant future, when the world will bear the imprint of the light of God among us again. Can we draw that future closer by living what they taught? If you can hear us now, we would propose one thing that is eternally true, though it may have a biblical ring. Draw closer to us, that we may draw closer to you. This brings me to part 3, about a crop circle, a white horse, and the drawing closer of the 4th and 5th kingdoms. The Tibetan Dwakul tells us the equal-armed cross is an ancient symbol from Sirius, and that Sirius's energies flow into our solar system through the portal of Gemini. Gemini is the one constellation in our zodiac that's connected to both the Christ and humanity. I'm sharing this because of the crop circle formation I'm about to show you, made in the sign of Gemini on May 25th, 2017. Here's a clip. I suppose it is. There we go. Here we go. There's sound with it, but I'm not sure why it's, you don't hear it. The image is showing how perfectly the crop circle is pointing to the white horse. There are 4 orbs, as we've seen, around the central orb, forming a cross, and what appears to be a crown on one of these outer orbs. I'm going to be showing the complete response from the 5th kingdom to a question about this crop circle because of its importance. This is the question that was posted on the website I mentioned earlier. Last year there appeared this crop circle pointing to a white horse. It is of interest because it contains many symbols which we would like explained. Also, could you speak about the purpose of crop circles and the makers? The white horse is an ancient, this is the response. The white horse is an ancient symbol of purity. The rider on the white horse is a symbol of the one who has been purified by the fires of life. This one is called Christ. He was the firstborn of Earth's evolution, who have become perfected in the folds of this planetary scheme, and is the one who now serves as the head of the spiritual hierarchy. The white horse represents the purified body that will serve as the rider's vehicle when he must again make an entry into the visible life of Earth. The white horse in the image to which this crop circle points was carved into the stone of the English hillside long ago. The fact that this symbol and others like it lie in close proximity to numerous crop circles is noteworthy. It should be clear by now to all careful observers that crop circles are phenomena of the time of the forerunner. The growing number and frequency of crop circles has coincided with the rise of Aquarian consciousness, the emerging awareness within the race of subtler dimensions of life. The time of the forerunner refers to the Christ as the forerunner of the Aquarian age. This is the primary message carried by the crop circles. Invisible life surrounds and pervades the planet. The crop circles have come to usher in the age of light by offering proof of subtler dimensions of life, containing higher levels of intelligence than that which is purely human. The crop circles radiate harmlessness and beneficence. They seek to expand human minds, to help humanity project its consciousness into subtler realms. They come to plant seeds of possibility, leading to a future on a higher bandwidth of frequencies. Regarding the particular configuration of the 4 outer orbs, located at 90-degree intervals around the central orb, we would offer this hint. If you were to visualize the Earth at intervals of approximately 90 days in its orbit around the Sun, might that appear in your mind's eye as a rough depiction of Earth at the solstices and equinoxes? It is highly likely that the rider will appear on or near one of the 4 major milestones in the Earth's journey around the Sun. Who are the crop circle makers? We, the guides of the race, are not them. We work in parallel with them. These beings, which have been caught on photographic lenses as tiny orbs of light, form a part of the Deva kingdom. They seek to awaken human minds to subtler realms by means of visible phenomena just as we of the spiritual hierarchy have undertaken the work of awakening humanity by impressing human minds. Both lines of endeavor fall within the realm of the great work of the Christ to prepare human minds for his return. The word diva is a Sanskrit word the Tibetan uses for angel. To know the makers of genuine crop circles are beings who form a part of the Diva kingdom, working in tandem with the fifth kingdom, and why is a great relief, because these have been questions of mine for many years, and it clears up a great deal. The bridge that connects us to our cosmic family will be built by human souls, awakening and aligned to the light, love, and wisdom of the fifth kingdom. Thank you. Thank you so much.